Hello, this is George Sendo, the guy from Pittsburgh. And one thing is certain, the credibility of Alex Jones should be destroyed forever, as he claimed that the left was going to take over the whole country. They did invade Liberty Island and put up their anti immigration banner. And right now in New York, some woman has climbed the Statue of Liberty. And according to the New York Post, officials admire that she was able to climb it. They said it's not normally climbable, but she's wearing a resistance shirt, and she want that her group demands that uh, children be reunited with their families, the deportation stop, like that's going to happen. And here on the Trump News Network, and it's on CBS. You can see that now that's an earlier shot. She's actually now under the foot of the Statue of Liberty. But Alex Jones said the left would try to take over the country. Didn't happen. Isn't going to happen. Happy 4th, everybody. So nobody should ever watch Alex Jones again because he's full of crap. And, he comes out with this scare stuff, and it's absolutely worthless. And where he's getting his information or his phony fake news, maybe he's getting it from CNN, maybe he's getting it from some conservative site, but it ain't happening. The fire up north has caused me to, this morning, the smoke was really bad. Even with the door closed, I've had trouble breathing all day. And about 3 in the morning, I had the door open before I started smelling the smoke, but I smelled something like unwashed in here. It wasn't me. I took a shower. I'm reading the Killing Reagan book. I finished that. And all of a sudden, I look down, and there's a head at my foot of the bed. I thought it was one of the cats. And the raccoon popped up like a jack-in-the-box and looked at me. I looked at him, and unfortunately, the iPad was in here, over where it is above the MacBook. And I said, "Get the hell out of here!" And he ran out the door. By the time I grabbed the iPad, the raccoon was gone. But he came into my apartment again. It's a very daring and bold raccoon. So they arrested 10 of these protesters on Liberty Island for trespassing. They furled their anti-ICE banner because they got their panties in the bunch about children being separated from their parents who shouldn't be here in the first place. Excuse me a minute. And I have to turn off my corn on the cob. Anyway, I'm getting my corn out. Just a moment. Had my peach pie. And the person in the Statue of Liberty is some black woman. And she didn't have a banner as far as I know. And the first group that got arrested is now saying that they don't have anything to do with her. She's not part of our group. So This is hilarious. Happy 4th, everybody. Happy 4th, Christopher and Snap Tea. So the mass insurrection that Alex Jones said in this, I watched the whole video. I think his beard's on too tight. And CBS News in New York is running this live, and I can't get it to change on the Kindle Fire. Let's see. Hold on. Maybe I can. There we go. Hold on. And President Trump gave a speech. Here it is. There's ABC. Here's Fox News. And I'll just show you this real brief. If you can see it, there it is on Fox Phoenix. They always have the breaking news. And let me mute this. But there she is. She's sitting under the foot, I guess symbolically, that she's being tromped on by Lady Liberty. And this is how the left acts. Right-minded conservatives don't do this kind of stuff. We honor America. We honor the Statue of Liberty. We honor the national anthem. We honor the flag and our troops and veterans and everybody on our Independence Day. But this is how the left disrupts Independence Day. So they evacuated Liberty Island. And in Sacramento, they were cleaning the Capitol grounds, and much like San Francisco, what do they find? Needles, feces, urine. So this is another liberal city that's going to hell. So I don't have much to say because I've been having breathing trouble since that fire up there in Napa is still going on. They're doing controlled burns now. But I said all day yesterday, I wonder when the Alex Jones liberal attacks are going to start. They didn't start. They had 10 guys in the Statue of Liberty. They climbed up, they furled a banner, and they got arrested. So I guess the attack is one person monopolizing the whole country. Not Hamilton Field. Travis Air Force Base canceled their fireworks drone. I get maybe it's too dangerous, maybe the wind. But here it is, the 4th of July. The left can't even do a protest right. Yeah, well, I don't ram hot dogs in my mouth. I eat one hot dog at a time. Christopher, hello, happy for it. I am eating corn on the cob. After 12 years of eating chicken franks, I have them because they were cheap and on sale. But I am sick of hot dogs. So, and Maroney's widow called me today, and what the hell do you say to someone where your 40-year-old friend has died? And she started crying on the phone. Unless you have to find some other outlet. I know it's too soon, but you're going to go crazy sitting in that apartment mourning the man. And I mourned him. I was thinking about him. I was reading the Sherman book. Where's Maroney when I need to talk to him? He was my guy to go on military issues. I missed the hell out of him. But she said, I don't know how I can live without him. I said, you have to go and just put it in the back burner and try not to think about it because it'll drive you crazy. So, yeah, that was Maroney. He didn't tell me he was married, and I'm still hurt by that. But she called me to wish me a happy 4th, which surprised me, and then started weeping over the phone. He's with me all the time. I go to church. I go to a job, and she has a job. She wouldn't go back. Her mother just died too, so I said I was sorry about that. But I said you can't keep dwelling on it. You have to just get on with your life. And Moni was a good person, and Moni was a good person, and he was in your life. He was in my life, and you cannot just focus on it because you'll go absolutely nuts. But what are you going to say to somebody like that? I have no idea. Maroney had told me he'd lied to me, and he lied to Kat. Oh, she wished Kathy well, and Maroney was not nice to Kathy. So maybe he felt guilty. He was fighting with Kathy, so she wouldn't talk to him anymore. And they had told me that she was a daughter, and Kathy, and I was absolutely shocked to hear that they were married, and I knew something was going on. Something wasn't right. And the backstory was the mother of this woman had met Maroney in like 1962, and they had a child and all this stuff. And there's something wrong. I have nothing against her. She watches my videos, but I'm very hurt that neither one of them trusted me. God, I knew the man for 40 years. I don't know what they told Maroney's friend Lloyd or anybody else Maroney. Of course, a lot of Maroney's friends are gone too. But I feel for her. I wish her well, but what can you say to someone when their mate has died? You can't say much, and I finally had to cut it off. I couldn't talk anymore, and my ears are plugged up. My nose has been running all day. My throat's gone. This fire, the smoke, really has really screwed me up. So, well, Maroney could be very secretive when he wanted to be. But I sensed, my third eye sensed something was wrong about the story. It didn't make sense. She suddenly appeared from the Philippines out of nowhere after he hadn't been there for like 50 or 60 years, and that's not logical. But that's water under the bridge. The man died. He went for kidney dialysis, had a heart attack, and went into a coma and died. And I missed the hell out of him. Coma and died, and I missed the hell out of him. And I never thought he would be disingenuous, honest with me. I don't understand it, but you can't bring him back. All you can do is live your life. And no, they're a lot younger. And I'm not going to give her age, but she's in her 50s. Maroney was 80. But he had happiness, and I'm happy for the both of them. I'm just sorry he's dead. Because I got one friend left in the world that isn't online, other than Kathy. And that's Paul. If Paul dies before I do, I got Kathy. This is one reason why I want people to meet me. I would like to start having some friends online and meet them in person. Because I, too, am lonely. Although my outlet is doing these videos. And the people like that Queenie, everybody says they were at Alien Con, but no one came up to meet me. They couldn't find me. But I had a hotel room for one night. They could have found me there. If they'd taken out the effort. Or they could have found me getting my picture taken with Linda Moulton Howe. I mean, how do you miss somebody this big? So, But I got to go out to feed the cats, but I don't think I'm going to wear the mask this time because the smoke really did a number on my lungs. Well, he went to dialysis. She told me today. Had a heart attack, went into a coma, and died. They were talking and holding hands, and all of a sudden, and that sucks. You know, my mother died. She had I can never remember the sequence: heart attack, then a stroke, and then it took her 9 days to die. I don't want to ever go through that again. I hope I don't linger when I go. Hello, Raymond. But you know, Maroney was. We would talk about the military, history, chemistry, electronics, computers. Happy history, history of the Pope, history of the Catholic Church, history of heraldry and kings, queens, dukes, military battles. I miss the hell of them because I got nobody to talk about that stuff now. Yeah, well, everybody said they were at Alien Con. No one saw me, which is very disappointing. So, yeah, well, Maroney retired in 1980. He quit work, saved up his money. He had saved up money, and he had money when he died. So, you know, quit work, and then, let's see, 38 years he didn't go to work. That's pretty good if you think about it. I told her, I made her laugh. I said, take somebody bad. Take Putin. Take the guy in Syria. Take the guy in North Korea. Don't take good people. Let the bad guys die. Now, Maroney was not into the paranormal. He was for illegal immigration, saying we need people to do the work that other people won't do. We had arguments about that. He believed Oswald killed JFK. We had huge arguments about that. I tried to tell him the proof is not there. And reading that book on the assassination, I could see the Warren Commission did a rubber stamp job. But they were told by Lyndon Johnson the lone gunman is it. That's what you're going to decide. No other course of action is allowed. And Arlen Specter came up with a single bullet theory. So it was all one of the biggest con jobs in American history. Yeah, he thought Oswald did it. And there's no real proof that Oswald did it. It was a crappy gun. It was a plastic gun sight. And that was out of line. They said Oswald adjusted for the gun sight so he could shoot Kennedy. And Oswald was not a great shooter in the Marine Corps. And there was evidence at the scene that 4 to 5 bullets were fired, and that evidence was removed and never seen again. A curb, one bullet hit, a road sign where another bullet hit. It's like the RFK assassination. Sirhan shoots 7 bullets. There's probably 15 floating around. So, and anybody who still thinks Oswald was the shooter is deluded, a fool, or an idiot. Oswald tried to shoot General Walker from 40 feet away and missed. I don't remember about OJ. Kathy never had arguments with OJ about OJ. And I said, look, the thing with OJ, though, he went to court. He was acquitted. I've got his book, Let Me Tell You Now, or whatever the hell it is. And to me, once you're acquitted, that's it. It's over. But they sued him for every dime he's got for wrongful death. And I've always thought that's wrong. Because we grew up, you're innocent until proven guilty, and you're found innocent and you're still guilty. I don't remember if we talked about OJ or not. We probably did. But he and I talked about at one time other people being assassinated. So, and that book lists a whole bunch of people that were assassinated through history. And there were several that they were assassinated. Then the people that were assassinating them were assassinated. Then the people that assassinated the assassins were assassinated, primarily in the Roman Empire. His son might have been involved, or, it could be somebody else. Who knows? But to me, once it was over, it was over. I don't remember much about the son. I just watched every minute of the trial. Like the Salma Neal case, George Reeves, Marilyn Monroe, the LAPD did their usual crappy job on it. Yeah, OJ knows, which OJ is ill, living in Florida. And who knows? OJ might tape a video to release he dies where he said either I did it or I didn't do it. The problem is he can't name his son because there is no statute of limitations on murder. And he made a big deal of the chase. Well, if I were a nationally known figure and the cops were looking for me, I'd probably get in my car and drive like a bat out of hell too. Because you don't know if the fix is in and they're going to railroad you. That was probably running through his mind. He wasn't going to get away. And they're going to railroad you. That was probably running through his mind. He wasn't going to get away. Of course, in LA, it's almost like a sport. There's so many criminals that get on the freeway and try to get away, and they film them with a helicopter. It's almost funny. You get those about once a month. And where are they going to run to? You can't leave the state. I wouldn't go on the freeways of LA if I were in LA trying to escape the cops. I'd have a 4x4, an off-road vehicle. I'd head for the hills. But if I were to murder somebody, I would not even stick around 5 minutes. I would be gone. So because the cop's still going to show up, you get an hour or two head start, you could be miles away. Not that I'm going to kill anybody, but I sure as hell wouldn't be going on a major freeway. They can cordon those off. You take back roads, you wind up on state highways somewhere, and you head into Nevada, and then you head north. Don't head toward Mexico, head toward Canada. And if I were to do it, I'd set up another identity, get a passport, and another name, and leave the country. Of course, you got to have money to live on and all that. But trying to run the right Bronco on the freeway, that's like putting a sign to catch me. I think he had a friend with him too, if I remember correctly. So I also think you got a raw deal with that whole thing in Nevada. He went and tried to get some of his memorabilia back at gunpoint. That was a stupid thing for him to do. But they tried him and convict him not for doing that, I think, because he got away with murder. That's the way people think. But getting back to JFK, one witness with a curved shot said she heard and saw multiple shots. People in the grassy knoll saw multiple shots. The autopsy surgeons at Parkland said it was an entrance wound, and the Secret Service confiscated the autopsy tapes. And then, of course, the body got ferreted off to Washington, D.C. by LBJ. When under Texas law, it was supposed to stay there. And then suddenly, the police came up with this. Oswald did it, but it was really very little proof. And there's reports that a guy in a suit and another guy were on the 6th floor, and they were probably some of the actual shooters. And I think there were multiple shooters. I also don't think Oswald killed J.D. Tippit. That was a setup of some kind. They have pictures of Oswald supposedly going to Mexico City. The guy in Mexico City was taller than Oswald. They have pictures of Oswald supposedly going to Mexico City. The guy in Mexico City was taller than Oswald. And a gunman named Saul said he was involved in the assassination. It wasn't Oswald at all. So I think it's the CIA and Moffat. I'm going to look this author thinks. JFK had made a lot of people angry. He was about to abolish the Fed, go to U.S. notes. He'd already started doing that. He might have even made UFO disclosure. He was talking to the Russians about UFOs so we wouldn't have a nuclear war. He was getting along with Cuba through back channels. I think the number one suspect didn't do it directly, but had the most to gain was LBJ. I think he had it done. And another thing, when the assassination happened, and I don't think they were ever interviewed in a warrant commission. Two workers saw Oswald in the second floor lunchroom eating a sandwich and drinking a Coke. And multiple witnesses saw a man who looked just like Oswald get into a station wagon outside the depository, take off. That man has never been seen again. There might have been 3 Oswalds running around. The real one and 2 fakes. So I don't think Oswald did it, and I think Ruby did it. He shot Oswald, and Oswald had CIA connections, were being paid by the CIA. I think Oswald was shot to keep from telling what he knew. I think he was going to blow the whistle. And David Ferrie had CIA connections. And Oswald and David Ferrie both in the Civil Air Patrol in New Orleans. And Oswald reported to the CIA office in New Orleans that he was giving out the Fair Play for Cuba leaflets. Government knew about Oswald. And they had a file on him. They knew what he was doing in New Orleans, and they probably would have followed him to Dallas. But we always hear about these conspiracies, and yet suddenly this guy just manages to pull it off with a $21 gun that is crap. So I don't believe it for a minute. Kennedy was shot in the neck and went out his head, which means it had to be a front shot, not a back shot. The Warren Commission tried to prove to everybody that people would calm down that he was shot in the back. The 2 autopsy surgeons were told to shut up in Parkland when they said it was an entrance wound in the front, in the throat. So another thing, Kennedy supposedly was going to get our troops out of Vietnam, our advisors. And he had just fired the head of the CIA. We're getting into the Bay of Pigs mess. And of course, who gets appointed on the commission? The fired head of the CIA. There's something going on there, too. So, but we have multiple conspiracies at that time. The conspiracy to shoot Martin Luther King, the conspiracy to shoot Robert F. Kennedy, and JFK. We had 2 lone gunmen that were lone gunmen. Arthur Bremer, who shot George Wallace, he was trying to impress his girlfriend. I don't know of any girlfriend I've ever had or ever known or ever met who would, oh yeah, impress me, go shoot somebody. These guys get this weird idea that shooting somebody will impress their girlfriend. And then there was John Hinckley. But was trying to impress Jodie Foster. He was planning to go to the Congress and shoot the Congress up, or he was going to kill Ted Kennedy, or he was going to shoot somebody in front of Jodie Foster to impress her because he was in love with Jodie Foster. He'd watched Taxi Driver 15 times. I've never seen the movie. And then he decides he's broke, almost broke. He's staying in Washington, D.C. He eats something at McDonald's. He gets a paper. He sees the route for Ronald Reagan appearing at the Hilton. Goes over there. Is by the security rope. Ronald Reagan comes out. He pulls his gun. And he had Devastator bullets, and they were designed to explode. He starts firing. And in his crazed mind, this will impress Jodie Foster. Now, I don't know why psychiatrists and the courts ever let this guy out. Because all of a sudden, after 30 years, he's cured? I don't get it. Yeah, I haven't seen the Ken Burns. Last documentary, Ken Burns, I watched a little bit of the Civil War and the one on baseball. So. And Ronald Reagan said in one of his speeches, he quoted Douglas MacArthur, he said, "There is no substitute for victory." And we could have won the war. We won the war in Vietnam, it's just not admitted. American forces destroyed the Viet Cong. But people like Walter Cronkite, who was a leftist, made it look like we were losing. And I will remind people that after we pulled out our troops, 2 years later, regular North Vietnamese forces entered Saigon. The local insurgency was destroyed during the Tet Offensive. But we were not allowed to mine Hanoi and Haiphong harbors for fear it would cause a problem with the Russians and the Chinese. We could have, if we had been allowed to mine those harbors, North Vietnam would have gotten no supplies. They wouldn't have gotten any overland. They wouldn't have gotten any from Laos or Cambodia, or very little. And the war would have been over in a year or two. So, no, I did not watch stuff about Vietnam because I saw enough protesters, and it personally, the way the war was run by McNamara and the armchair generals, the war was run not to win but to lose. So it just disgusts me. Hello, Zoe. Happy 4th. Excuse me a moment. Like Patton said, eventually we'd have to deal with the Russians. They're as dangerous as the Germans. Eventually, Ronald Reagan dealt with the Russians and destroyed communism. I think Bobby Kennedy, if he hadn't been shot, would have been president. The indicator to me was when I went to Indianapolis working for Hubert Humphrey, or Eugene McCarthy. I think it was Eugene McCarthy. April of '68. We were sleeping in gyms, and all the Bobby Kennedy volunteers were sleeping in hotel rooms. They had money behind them. We were poor. I forgot. I did work for Eugene McCarthy, and once the nomination for Humphrey, when did I work for Hubert Humphrey? But he won the California primary, if he had not been assassinated, he would have gone on and probably beat Richard Nixon. By the way, there was a debate of sorts between him and Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan tore Bobby Kennedy a new one on television on CBS. And Bobby Kennedy said, never put me up with that guy again. So Ronald Reagan made Bobby Kennedy look bad. And there is evidence now, I read in this book, that if you have anesthesia, it can affect your brain and lead to early onset Alzheimer's. And if you have heart surgery, the anesthesia can lead to early Alzheimer's. I think that's what happened to Reagan. He was very debilitated by the shot that went into his chest, into his side, lost a lot of weight, almost all the blood in his body. I think it affected his mind. I like Ross Perot, but he didn't have a chance in hell. He was more of a disturber, much like John Anderson was. And Jimmy Carter, being the fool that he is, our second worst president, the first being Obama, blamed John Anderson for his loss, even though Ronald Reagan won in a landslide. And Ross Perot was right about one thing, that giant sucking sound where our jobs were leaving because of NAFTA. Now, what's going on here? Hold on. Okay. So, and President Trump has said the same thing. NAFTA and GATT. He never mentions GATT, but it's a bad deal for America. It's all to the advantage of other countries, and we get screwed. And our plants left the country, and jobs are leaving the country. Now, let me see here. What's happening with the climber? Oh, the climber is still up there. There's CBS in LA over in the corner. And let's look at Fox 10. Yep, still up there. No, I went to chat and I said, why don't you just go to the zoo, get a tranquilizer dart, and put a net under her, and she'd fall. Put a big net underneath her, get her off of there. But I don't think Perot had the heart to do it. Perot might have won if he put. I don't think he was sincere. Another guy that wasn't sincere is John McCain. When he went to work on the economy and suspended his campaign, that was idiotic. He had the momentum against Obama. But I thought for a long time John McCain has been senile for a while. Maybe his brain was damaged too much when he was a prisoner in North Vietnam. So I voted in 1980 for Walter Mondale because I didn't know any better. And I heard all the propaganda about Ronald Reagan. And then came to real. Now, Ronald Reagan had problems, ran Contra and violated the law and got money. Iran sent money to the Contras. And he lied to Margaret Thatcher about not going into Grenada. But he was a good president, a good man. Now, I don't think he screwed up by picking Palin at all, because the left went crazy about Palin, and CNN went crazy, and PBS and the mainstream media. Palin's a good person. But the left and the media love to use character assassination on people. But McCain dropped out of the damn race, the last month? I'm going to work on the economy and go back to Washington. And Obama probably rang his hand and said, oh, goody, this guy just gave me the election. So he could have won. But That's one of the goofiest decisions in American political history. Sarah Palin hadn't helped herself either. The one thing they focused on was she said she should see Russia from Wasilla, and they just wouldn't leave that comment alone. That I agree with you. Palin is still a force in the Republican Party, but if it's been 4 years later, I don't know who would have run. It would have Mitt Romney, Mr. Snore, and I didn't like Mitt Romney at all, but I voted for Romney, loyal Republican. Romney had problems. Remember they said this guy, that Harry Reid, that evil person, that Romney wouldn't pay any taxes, and they had the dog on top of the car. Hell, I've known some dogs that would love to ride on top of the car. By the way, speaking of dogs, Sam the dog, one of the dogs that portrayed the dog Duke in the Bush's baked beans commercial died. So, but Romney was close too and blew it. You had two guys running for Republican president, and they both blew the chance to win. Romney won the first debate against Obama, but he wouldn't go. He wouldn't grab him. He wouldn't grab him by the neck and finish him off. No, Elizabeth Warren's enough. There's Elizabeth Warren. There's Nancy Pelosi. There's Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the crazed Maxine Waters. You got a lot of people that are completely off the deep end, where Sandy left the building a long time ago, and Elizabeth Warren is there. Remember, she said, "You didn't build this. When a company builds the building, we built this. We, as in the government." Well, roads are built by contracts to the government, sure, but the company pays fees to the government too to put in that building. Something Elizabeth Warren has ignored. Without business, there'd be no roads because there would be no money for capital. And she uses simplistic things to denigrate business. Like a lot of leftists do, they think making a profit is evil. Raising capital is evil. Buying and selling stock is evil. Buying bonds is evil. Buying mutual funds is evil. And if you save your money as a regular person and buy stocks and bonds and mutual funds and gold and silver or whatever, you are oppressing everybody because you've got money and the guy down the street has had no job for 2 years and is lying there in a crack addicted stupor. You're oppressing him or her. That's how they think. They think America's evil. We oppress every country in the world. They're totally wrong. But so, by the way, let's see what temperature is out there. It's hot. They're going to open the door. Everybody's telling me about, we've updated your terms of use and privacy policy. Everybody's obsessed with privacy. Yet we have no privacy. It's 70 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday will be 91. Tomorrow will be 83. I'm going to San Francisco Friday to pick up the monitor. So, well, they're talking about this communist who won her election in a landslide. And I don't think it will be Michelle Obama. I don't think it will be Debbie Wasserman Schultz or Elizabeth Warren or Crazy Bernie. It won't be Nancy Pelosi, and it sure as hell won't be, I think you can take it to the bank, it will not be Hillary Clinton. There'll be some Democrat they find out there who's maybe even more leftist than Hillary Clinton, more whacked out, But the problem is the American people, the bulk of them are in the heartland. They're from Indiana to Nevada. The West and East Coast are full of liberals. There's no hope for them. But going everywhere from Maine to Pennsylvania and down to Florida. But now you have North, South Carolina, Georgia. Some of the South went for Trump. It's going to go for Trump again. But they think that everybody thinks like they do, and they don't. People love this country. They didn't want to see formative change. Now, I disagree with some things that Trump has done. I think we need electric power plants to scrub the coal emissions. But I'm not for putting coal workers out of work till we have something better. And California now wants to have completely green energy by 2050. And the electric companies are screaming, saying, you're going to make our plants obsolete, and we'll still have to pay the bonds and the obligations if we go green. But California, the leftist government in Sacramento, no matter who the governor is, the legislature is controlled by the ultra-left. They want to go water and solar and steam power. And I always wonder what's going to happen if they have a major earthquake in the Bay Area or Los Angeles. What if the canal that brings water down to Southern California is ruptured during a major quake? What if the roads are ruptured or major bridges?